How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to this episode of What Have They Done to Her Sport. I'm Cole Sharf, as always. I'm with my co-host Mike Messi. How's it going, man?
Mike Messier is here, buddy.
I always
Did you forget my last
I, I,
syllable or whatever?
I've been doing it on purpose now. I'm like, fuck it, I've screwed it up every time. I might as well just keep it going.
That's okay, folks. It's good to be here and discuss the wild world of professional wrestling. Of course, there is a lot to talk about. It is Monday morning, so by the time this show gets circulated, I'm sure Monday night Raw will probably have some hijinks and some festivities. I'm kind of hoping that they give this Shield a full heel turn myself, Cole. Do you have any thoughts on the Shield and if they will be legitimate heels or be tweeners, or what do you think?
I want them to be heels, but I think because they've been working so hard to get Roman Reigns over, I think they're going to push him as baby faces. Just to help, because then he'll get over with the Shield, and then hopefully they'll want it to transition once he's out of the Shield. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess the question is, if the Shield is coming off as a babyface contingent of three guys trying to hold on to their championships, the Universal title and Seth Rollins' IC title, but then you've got Braun Strowman, who's massively popular. Is that a one baby face versus three baby faces? Is that what it would be?
I would assume so. I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll make them all. And then, but when Dean came back, I thought he was going to be heel. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's kind of nice to have something that's kind of intriguing that we don't know for sure what's going to happen right now with at least that group. You know what I mean? That's the first time for a while for that to happen for me.
Yeah, because we did leave on a cliffhanger, and there was no, as far as I remember, mention of them on SmackDown. They didn't come up on SmackDown suddenly to interrupt the flow of that programming. So my feeling is, if they allow the Shield to really be heel, and kind of do a thing like Four Horsemen style, Roman Reigns, not that he's in the same class as Ric Flair, but he would be the Ric Flair defending champion in this scenario, and allow him to be heelish. And I have seen some videos of a young Roman Reigns, I think, in Florida as a heel, and he seemed more comfortable, or at least more interesting than the Roman Reigns we've been treated to each and every main event program for the last several years of WWE. So my hope is that they push the button on this thing, they are committed to it, and let the Shield as heels be heels. Don't try to temper their bets or hold on to t-shirt sales or chick it out on their own programming, their own angle. Let them be heels legitimately, and let Braun be the babyface and chase after him and have this thing play out a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I think. I think it'd be nice to switch him up, because obviously the dude hasn't gotten over like they've wanted in 5 years, so.
No, he hasn't, and I think that, sometimes you have to listen. I guess the only reason to keep Roman as a babyface so long is they feel that women and children love him so much, which I don't see much of evidence of. And honestly, I think that if 90% of your live audience is booing the WrestleMania main event and booing this guy's matches, then maybe that they should finally listen to that and let him do heel stuff and see what the hell happens. It can't hurt. I mean, as we know, Raw ratings have been down quite low. I think it was a month or so ago that the lowest Raw ratings ever happened, which is never a good sign for anything. And people can justify that and say that the audience watches in different ways now, or DVRs or YouTube clips, and that's fine, but the reality is those ratings still do mean something, at least in my book. So why not mix it up a little bit, let the Shield go heel? Just succinctly, Cole, I've been so critical of WWE that I don't want to. Anything I've criticized as far as their work in Saudi Arabia, leaving the women and Sami Zayn behind and all that stuff is all accurate, all true. But I'll give them credit creatively. I think their 4-day stay in Barclays Center was a success. I think that everything they did, I think that having that 4-day show, 4 days worth of shows in one arena helps creatively. maybe just because it gives the writers, a 5 minutes to write their storyline instead of cramming it and emailing it. It gives everybody time to breathe. And something I talked with JG on Generating Heat about was, I personally think that these 4-day stays in one arena, if it's a major arena in a major city that can keep the interest there, it's a good thing for WWE. Whenever they can do that, maybe they should do it more. Maybe in cities like Providence or where you're at, they can have Raw and SmackDown coming from the same venue back-to-back nights. Maybe if they're having trouble filling 20,000 seat hockey and basketball arenas, they can, cut it back to the 10,000 seat arena in any particular city. What do you think about that, Cole?
I mean, I actually kind of got into it with Road Dogg about that on Twitter one time. That I'm like, it's pretty sad that, you're in the same city and you can't sell out a fucking arena 2 nights in a row, so why do it? And he's like, yeah, I mean, this blah, 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 but it saves on travel expenses and shit like that. So when they can do it 4 nights in a row and have a good crowd all 4 nights, then it's definitely good for their pocket. You know what I mean?
Well, it also depends on the city, in a city like New York, which is such a travel hub, such a place of interest, even now, you're going to be more likely to sell that out. I don't know if they could sell out every, B or C city, so to speak, in the country all that much, but it is worth, investigating perhaps. You mentioned a Twitter battle with Road Dogg. As you might know, during the course of events on Saturday night, I found myself at a Godsmack concert. Had a really great time with some good friends, Tommy DeNucci, Nick Principe, film friends of mine, and we were able to see our buddy Sully Erna, the singer of Godsmack, afterwards, who played my brother in the film The Manor. However, during that same process, I was in a Twitter battle of my own with none other than Joey Ryan of Dick Spot fame, of the wrestling Dick Spot. Joey Ryan, myself, and another gentleman who was kind of defending Joey in the Dick Spot got into a Twitter beef of sorts. It took some interesting turns. If people look up Mikey Messier, Angry Wrestling Fan, on Twitter, they can see me and Joey Ryan kind of going at it. And it did have some comedic moments. I mean, I like I've always said, I've met Joey Ryan way back when, like 2010, and he was a nice guy. I don't think he's a jerk in real life. I just disagree with his angle, his character tenacities of the Dick Spot. I do find it to be repulsive and insulting to the spirit of pro wrestling. Joey made some good comebacks. He provided me with a photograph of some type of ancient Greek or some type of statue of 2 wrestlers kind of pleasuring each other, and basically he was making a statement that wrestling is based in this homoerotic behavior, for lack of a better term, and it was an interesting exchange of ideas, and he even got to the point where this H2O defender of Joey Ryan hopped in with his own video. He cut a promo on me, so it was kind of good for a laugh that people were taking this stuff seriously. But to me, Cole, I stand by, for anyone who cares, I stand by my thoughts on the Dick Spot. I even encouraged Joey Ryan, hey, Joey, wouldn't it be interesting if you retired the Dick Spot or feuded with your own Dick Spot? Wouldn't it be interesting if Joey Ryan created an angle, and I basically spelled it out for him, where he can feud with the Dick Spot? Like, he could have a crisis of character. Meaning Joey could have a crisis where he doesn't know if he wants to do the Dick Spot anymore, or the Dick Spot is bigger than him. And I kind of compared it to musical artists like Flock of Seagulls, who hate singing their top hit, Run, because or Ran is the name of the song, like Flock of Seagulls, or Achy Breaky Heart in the case of Billy Ray Cyrus. I mean, they're musical artists who become known for just one song, and then they feel stigmatized by that song. I was gently suggesting to Joey that he take that cue and find himself feuding with his own maneuver that brought him such notoriety. You know what I mean? And he didn't take to that suggestion too well, but I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up using it at some point.
Yeah, remember, screenshot that shit so that way if he does, you can be like, what, motherfucker?
Yeah, right. Where's my copyright? Where's my fucking cut of the action, Joey?
A couple things I just saw looking down here. The Bella twins were in action over the weekend in the live event, so that's kind of cool to see that, I guess, right? Um,
Um,
I and
I
then
don't know if it's kind of cool. To be honest with you, Cole, and I've cut some promos on the Bella twins, mostly Nikki, because I do find that, they're that. This is what the Bellas are to me. It's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. Oh, we broke up with me and John Cena broke up. Give us our privacy. So it's like they want all that tension, but the minute that something goes wrong, they want their privacy. They demand their privacy. Yet they're more or less pimping out their show every week, which is supposed to be an intimate portrayal of their lives. It's even got you yawning again, Cole, right now.
for sure,
So
for sure.
the point is with the Bellas, I don't find them particularly interesting. I mean, I find that the nasal kind of whiny quality of their voices, if you ever listen to them, you'll hear that they always have a very whiny kind of nasal quality to their sentences. They're always asking questions when they're supposed to be making statements. Like, and one thing that I found funny was Nikki Bella saying something to the effect of, "Oh, well, maybe John will propose," and it's just kind of like that should be the name of their show. Maybe John will propose if ... The Chronicles of Nikki Bella's love life. I mean, it's just a sad thing when a beautiful woman, whether she's physically enhanced through the wonders of plastic surgery or not, she has to go through this torment and this torture of wondering if John Cena is going to stop carousing every woman he can find and settle down with her. I mean, obviously, she's attractive, but I mean, a lot of women are attractive, and for a guy like John Cena with all his money, that makes him more attractive to a certain element of women. So, anyway, God bless, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then I also was reading Matt Hardy had a farewell send off today or this weekend as well too. So it's pretty much going to be set in stone that dude's going to be done in the ring here anytime now and just be focused backstage and shit. So that kind of sucks. He's one of my favorites. Have you guys out there know
that Matt Hardy become the Raw general manager? What do you think if that happened?
I'd be cool with that. I just don't know if he would want that role to be, you know what I mean? Maybe. I think his mind is better used backstage, though, in creative like that. I think they should let him take a shot at creative and let him write some fucking stories and let that dude do his thing. But like I was going to say, is everybody out there should know, if you listen to our past episodes when we went over those 3 matches of the TLC things, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy are one of my favorites of all time. So for him to step away kind of sucks for me because I really appreciate. I liked his singles runs almost more than I liked him as a tag team guy. When he was Matt Hardy V1, that was one of my favorite characters and gimmicks going on at the time for sure.
That was back in the 2002 era, I believe.
Yeah. He was. That was one of my favorite, and that little his entrance video, his video to fucking. When it was one of my favorites, so it sucks to see him go. And then Jason Jordan's doing shit backstage, so it sounds like he's done too, and he's only like 25, 26, maybe a little bit older, but he's young as fuck, so it just goes to show that how dangerous this style is today. So, Matt Hardy's been wrestling in the WWE or on TV for fucking 20 years, right? And everybody knows the Hardy style, right? Crazy, fucking off. More Jeff than Matt, but they both did crazy shit, right? Well, now you got a Jason Jordan, 27, 28-year-old who's only been wrestling probably for 8 to 10 years, career over because of the fucking new style and the way they wrestle nowadays. Paige, 24, granted she's been wrestling since she was 12, so she had 12 years before her career was over, but she's only 25. You know what I mean? All these young guys they keep getting hurt and their careers keep ending in half the time that the Hardy Boys' career ends. Jeff's still going full speed, you know what I mean? And they've done a lot more crazy shit than these guys have done. They've had a lot more memorable moments and done a lot more shit memorable than any of these other guys or girls that are getting hurt, and they're still competing, you know what I mean? People should look at that and see, like, wait a minute. I've only been doing it for 10 fucking years, and my career's over now. These guys have been doing it for 20 years, jumping off fucking 20-foot ladders, jumping through tables, chair shots, what the fuck ever, and they're still going, you know what I mean? Outside of that, Bubba Ray Dudley, he's still going. Devon, I think, works backstage at WWE, but Bubba's still going. Jeff's still going. Matt's at the end now. Edge and Christian are done. Christian was a concussion problem, so you can't really argue with that. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you this: did Jason Jordan have a very physical style? I was only familiar with his work on Raw. I mean, I know he was NXT Tag Champ, but was he especially outside? Like, I don't remember him being a kamikaze type of go through a flaming ladder guy or anything.
No, but I mean, I'm just like the flips and fucking suplexes and all. Like, he would do that over the top suplex all the fucking time. You know what I mean? And like that would be his move. But it could have been somebody else that hurt his neck, but I don't think it was his first neck injury. That's what I mean. I don't think.
You know what? I remember that guy Christopher Nowinski, who's become such a topic because of the concussion world. And when Chris Nowinski, first retired from pro wrestling to go into concussion research, I remember being surprised because he really had only wrestled about a year, if that, on television after Tough Enough. And so Chris Nowinski was not a guy who, it seemed to me, of all the wrestlers at that time, the 2004 era, to start something for the concussions, why was this rookie guy? But the human body is an interesting thing, Cole. Some people, like the Hardys, as you mentioned, can go for 20 years. But, I mean, honestly, they've had so many problems with pain pills and so forth, as they've talked about. I don't even have to talk about it. But you can't really hold them up as guys that are coming out of this thing unscathed as far as the injuries, the type of medications they've self-medicated with, which they've talked about on their own show. I haven't had to, that's not something I'm conjecturing. They've talked about it themselves.
Yep.
But you guys got like Randy Orton, and it's interesting to see Randy Orton back on WWE TV. I guess their big investigation about the allegations made against Randy Orton and doing certain things, touching himself privately, or harassing writers with the allegations made by a former WWE employee. I guess the WWE felt satisfied that Randy Orton's safe to work with and everything's okay.
Yeah, I want to get into that for a second. Isn't that a crazy fucking accusation that fucking this dude used to fucking touch his balls and then shake hands, and it went under the rug for so long? And then so that's what pisses me off about the WWE. All this shit, like, if that would have came out against a Hollywood actor or a musician, bro, the whole world would shit on him no matter what. Like, oh my god, this sick bastard, fuck him, take him out of everything he's doing, don't ever play his fucking shit no more, oh my god. And then come out and find out it's not true. It happens to a WWE official or a superstar or whatever, and then it fucking, oh well, nobody's even talking about it. Oh, the WWE did their own investigation. So I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm saying, like, isn't it crazy how shit that goes on in the WWE is so far away from the mainstream? And to me, that would be another thing that should open their fucking eyes. Like, okay, if this would have happened to fucking Tom Cruise, if someone would have accused Tom Cruise of doing this, it would have been fucking everywhere. You know what I mean? But
Daddy, I found this ring in your...
well, that's my son making a guest appearance, telling me that he found a ring. I apologize about that, guys, but
It's okay. Your son is doing his investigation on Randy Orton's allegations.
yeah, and so I just feel like I don't understand how it doesn't pick up no steam, nothing. No, we did our investigations, done over with. Like you said, he's right back on TV. So,
it's interesting to me. You're right, and just to show him pop in, of course. Cole, here's the thing, buddy. A lot of times in life, in pop culture, and especially in this gotcha internet culture we live in, it really is about spin. I mean, spin and how much do we like you? If people like Randy Orton, which a lot of fans do, whether he's a good guy, bad guy, for the most part, people respect or appreciate his wrestling. So in that case, people, because they kind of like Randy Orton, are willing to look the other way. If it was someone, say, like an Enzo, at the height of Enzo's unpopularity in WWE, they would have loved to have used this story against him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Ultimate Warrior, when they did that whole self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD, 10 years ago or so or more, the Ultimate Warrior was not self-destructed. He was retired from the business. He was doing his own thing. but he was like an artist, and he was doing fine without WWE. But they felt the need to say he self-destructed, when meanwhile, guys, I hate to say it, but guys like Rick Rude and Kurt Hennig were already dead. I mean, where's the self-destruction of Rick Rude video? You know what I'm saying? Like, guys that were, and I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just saying, if they want to say someone self-destructed, why not someone who actually died because of various reasons? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Why say the Ultimate Warrior self-destructed? Of course, when they want to make money off the guy, they play kissy face, and suddenly he's welcomed back with open arms. So there's such deep hypocrisy within all things, WWE especially, and not to just go off and off on them, but I mean, I think one thing I'm learning, Cole, in the process of talking with you, the process with talking with JG and Vince Russo and everybody, the more I look into pro wrestling, the more that the hypocrisies and the double talks and the lies and the corruption, and we did the whole episode with Mass Transit and how I revealed what I knew about that situation, you can't really, in some ways, you just can't really respect a lot of elements of pro wrestling. As a human, you're a father, you know that ethics and morality are very important. And I think what happens with myself and other wrestling fans is we want to think that our human ethics and morality are going to be somehow honored in the same world of pro wrestling. But it's not about that for them. For them, it's about cashing the paychecks. If we have to do a show in Saudi Arabia and leave the women behind, we'll do a show in Saudi Arabia and leave the women behind, and we'll figure it out later. We'll spin it later by having an all-women's pay-per-view, and then everybody will love us. If we have to, tolerate Randy Orton touching himself or not touching himself, well, we'll do an investigation, and we'll put him back in the show. If our wrestlers get into DWIs, we'll give them the U.S. title. There's a different moral compass used by these wrestling companies, and so on and so forth. If we have to have guys who insert their thumbs into each other's assholes and parade like ducks, we'll have guys that insert their thumbs into each other's assholes and parade like ducks. So for the wrestling fan like myself who wants to think that pro wrestling has some type of moral compass, it doesn't. We have to look at it and see it for what it is. It's escapism entertainment, but in this day and age when everybody wants to dig deeper and so forth, what you find at the core of it is not a lot of good stuff. And that might be upsetting to some people to hear that, but that's just the way it is. And so on and so forth. I have been enjoying, on a lighter note, World Class Championship Wrestling 1982. That's a photograph of David Von Erich on the cover. I have been enjoying a lot of classic pro wrestling. I did watch Nikolai Volkov versus Hulk Hogan on the, I think the second episode of Saturday Night's Main Event in a flag match. Nikolai recently passed away. I do have quite a bit of new DVDs in wrestling I bought for myself lately, Cole. I got to say this. People rely on the WWE Network for their sole source of pro wrestling. I always encourage fans to look into the extracurricular market, so to speak, for their wrestling material, because I'd hate for people to one day wake up if the Disney Corporation or some other entity owns the WWE and suddenly they've censored all the backlogs of wrestling. So I always encourage people to stock up on your non-WWE network wrestling supply. Have you watched Starrcade 85 yet, Cole?
I knew you were going to ask me. I did not get around to it yet. I'm sorry.
Well, it's okay, buddy. I encourage you to watch it because I just feel that it could be the running gag, but when you see that the wrestling was presented in a different way back then, you'll see why someone like myself gets upset at the Joey Ryans and the thumb in the ass hoe train, so to speak. What else is going on, Cole? You're still with me?
Yes, sir. So, sorry. I was just replying to some of our viewers on Twitch real quick. Thank you guys for supporting. Here's a good minute. I'm going to get off Twitch. You guys can find the rest of the show on my YouTube page, Cole Sports Corner on YouTube. You can find Mikey on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle again?
It's Mikey Messier, Angry Wrestling Fan. I actually had to clarify that because I do have another one for my film stuff. But just look up Mikey Messier, Angry Wrestling Fan. And I did meet a young wrestling manager at the Godsmack concert, so maybe he's watching.
Oh,
He's trying to get into the world of being a manager and so forth. So.
nice. Yeah, I'm gonna touch on that Godsmack concert because I actually just went to a concert the other day myself, but it was way too fucking hot. But yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to I want to thank my sponsor, O'Hara Exteriors, for supporting our show. You can get a hold of him at 402-213-3289. Any siding, window, gutters, or roofing needs that you need. And also a new sponsor, which is me. Any painting needs you need, get a hold of me anywhere. I will travel. I'm going to Texas next week for a couple things, so get a hold of me if you need any painting needs done, interior, exterior, anything in that aspect. So thank you for watching on Twitch. Come to YouTube for the rest of the show. All right, we're back, Mikey. How's it going?
It's good. Still here, buddy.
You want to talk about NFL, or do you want to keep going with the wrestling? Is there anything else wrestling you want to talk about?
Well, our buddy JG was on me to give this MLW a shot. I finally did watch the Battle Riot show. I mean, I know that's going back a ways, but they had some good people in there. But, they had Hornswoggle and the guy from the Spirit Squad jumped into the Battle Riot. And, I'll say this. If people are looking for someone else very interesting to watch, Simon Gotch, who was in the Battle Riot, and he does stuff for MLW. He wrestles for them. He's a very interesting guy, and I would love to, have us interview him, or you interview him, or me interview him for Messier Mantra. Simon Gotch is outspoken, but the guy that he wrestles with, I always get the name wrong. Is it Tom Hardy? Not Tom Hardy. That's the actor's name. The guy that won the Battle Riot, who they're trying to do like a shoot fighter thing. We'll see how far that goes. I guess for me, I don't see that guy as being too marketable. But who the hell knows these days? Have you been watching MLW at all, Cole?
No, but I know Simon Gotch fucking hates Enzo Amore and feels like that's the reason that he is not in WWE anymore. I watched a shoot interview with him about 2 weeks ago when I was laying in bed and couldn't fall asleep. That's what I do, is I go and find interviews. It's actually pretty entertaining, but he was telling me, or not telling me, but telling the guy interviewing him that fucking Enzo is the reason he's not in the company, and hating on him, bro, saying he sucks at rap music, just going off on him. So everybody should go check that out. It should be the first interview that pops up because it was pretty new. So it's just him standing up with a blue shirt on. I can't remember the fucking name of it, but he goes off on Enzo, and he kind of seemed like an arrogant guy, so I kind of liked him a little bit when I watched that interview.
Yeah, there was a part, and if it's the same interview, the interviewer says, "You remind me of Punk," and Simon Gotch is like horrified, like he's horrified to be compared to CM Punk. So he is.
Go ahead.
Simon Gotch did not want to be compared to CM Punk at all. He was horrified by that. He took it as an insult. And I didn't see him get into it. But anyway, there's still people that are interested in pro wrestling. But as far as the NFL goes, we can talk about that. I know you are much more of an enthusiast, much more informed. You and JG, I believe, were talking about NFL. But I've been watching on Amazon Prime this series about the Dallas Cowboys. I watched the whole season, Cole. It's difficult for me to get through a season of content for anything because my mind tends to wander. But I did find it, and I'm not a Cowboys fan. I actually grew up a Redskins fan, and I've been in New England for many years, so I've become kind of a Patriots fan de facto.
Well, stop right there real quick, because that's two things. As you know, I'm a Jets fan, so I fucking hate the Patriots, but we'll let that slide. But first and foremost, we kind of had a discussion off the air, but we saved it for the air about the Redskins. You feel like they should change the name. I'm on the complete opposite spectrum where I don't think the name fucking matters. Because there's a high school here where I live in Nebraska called the Bellevue East Chieftains. There's a baseball team, the Cleveland Indians. So what the fuck does it matter about the Washington Redskins?
Well, the argument, and I maybe not... Basically, what I was saying off the air was my beef, so to speak, is with the owner of Dan Snyder. He seems to be an eccentric. He seems to be a guy who fights battles weirdly, or he makes weird decisions. I'm talking about the owner of the Washington Redskins. He's a hard guy to like, in other words. And that applies to the team. I mean, he owns the team, and he kind of seems like an eccentric. The Washington Redskins, if you look up the name Redskin, there is a debate about the origin. But what a lot of people have said is that the term Redskin came from scalping Native Americans, and that the actual red skin itself was the scalp, the actual scalp of these dead or vastly injured, mutilated Native Americans. And so there would be bounties on the Native Americans. How many can you kill? And you prove how many you killed by providing their scalps from their heads. So
I looked up on dictionary.com, you know, the most credible dictionary source there is, and the definition of redskin is an American Indian.
Right, but where did the term, why did that become a term for that? Did you Google or whatever the fuck redskin scalp and see if that story comes up?
It came out in the early 1900s. The use for redskin started in the early 1900s.
Is there anything about the scalp being removed from their heads forcibly that you're seeing, buddy?
I'm Googling that right now. I'll get it. Redskin does in fact mean the scalped head of a Native American. But I'm gonna go to their wiki page. So there's two. Maybe we should run with this. Let's figure it out. Let's get to the bottom of it, Mikey. Which one is it?
Well, I just found Esquire.com update. You know, this is Esquire.com news politics. June looks like June 15th or June 16th, 2014 by Baxter Holmes. Update: a redskin does in fact mean the scalped head of a Native American sold like a pelt for cash. Many have claimed that our story about the etymology of redskin was wrong. This document from 1863 proves otherwise. So if people want to look into it, look into Esquire.com, Baxter Holmes. It looks like June 15th, 2014, from Esquire.com, and just what I said. So
yeah, but that's what I mean. So which, like you said, which one's true? Because I'm finding it that, like, I went to the Redskins Wikipedia page and it said slang for term Native American in the United States, and then I found that Esquire article as well. So it's like, which one is the fact? Which one's not the fact? Which one is the truth? Which one's not the truth?
Well, it could be. The thing is, how do I say it? And there's some YouTube videos that I watch about not just this topic, really about other topics, which is...
Okay, hear this out real quick. Redskin was first used in 1796 in a song, and the definition in the song was the scalping an Indian.
There you go then, buddy.
So that, I guess, answers that question. Just gotta look a little...
that would kind of prove the offensive nature of the term then, wouldn't it?
I guess so. Nothing like getting debunked,
right?
Right?
I would be opposed to it because, to me, and you know, if the term redskin is basically saying this is a pelt or this is a scalped chunk of a human being who's dead because we killed them based on the color of their skin, then to have a football team, you know, taking the field for 40 or 50 or 60 years now or more. I mean, the Redskins are one of the original teams. They've been around forever, so. To me, it is offensive. And I found that Dan Snyder, when he was engaged in these debates, it's like he didn't take the 5 minutes to Google search like we just did. I mean, he was just so dismissive. And, you know, they've had a guy who goes to the football games in D.C. for years who dresses up like a Native American. And I got into this same thing with the Indians a couple of years ago on Twitter. About the Chief Wahoo debate, and Chief Wahoo from the Cleveland Indians is no longer going to be used. I mean, if you're looking at this Esquire thing, this is a note from a Native American in the 2014 article on Esquire. Those Redskins were ripped from native heads, ripping apart families, tribes, the very essence of our tribal cultures. Redskins, grotesque in every sense of the word. So that's from a Native American who spoke up about, there you go. And they're talking about the kind of bounty that was referenced in the 1755 Phipps Proclamation. So it really is a thing, Cole, where we can just say that the Redskin name just implies the football team and it's honoring the culture. And people always love to provide these polls and statistics that oh, the Native Americans don't care and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, do you really need a poll or a statistic to say, hey, this is a pretty foul thing that's been marketed and for years and years, and maybe it's time to stop it? I mean, what do you think now, having learned this information?
Yeah, I mean, now that kind of changes it a little bit. I mean, I'm still like, don't. It's been the name for how long? You know what I mean? It only recently became a fucking issue. So it's a football team name. It's not like they're using it in a disrespectful term or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's not like, if anything, I don't know. That's a touchy subject now. You know what I mean? But I don't think it'll ever change as long as Snyder's there. And I'm not gonna hate the Redskins because of that name. You know what I mean? That's who they are. They're the Washington Redskins. They've been that way my whole entire fucking life. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. But now that I know the definition, it makes it a little bit bigger of a deal than it was 10 minutes ago.
What do you think of Chief Wahoo in baseball? Because they've put the kibosh on him after all this time.
I just feel like it's been around so long, and it's, why change it now? Because we're more sensitive nowadays? Because somebody complained about it and got a bunch of signatures? Like, I don't know, man. The way this world is today, it's so fucking, I don't even want to get going on that rant because we'll be fucking talking for about an hour. But it's sad, man. Like, everybody's so sensitive about fucking everything nowadays, and you can't say anything. And I got some heat for saying some shit I said about Meltzer last week. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a fucking, it's awesome people are listening, and I'll take any kind of feedback we get. But it's like I didn't even really say anything off the wall, and I pretty much stated my case 5 times. I wasn't being disrespectful to a certain type of people, and I still got some fucking backlash for it. So it's just like. Sensitivity, man, it's crazy. It's like, fuck it, they're a football team. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? It's not like they're using the term disrespectfully. The thing with the Chief Wahoo dude, he was a mascot. They weren't being it's not like they were going out there and, reenacting people, killing Indians and shit. He was there to pump up the crowd and get people into the game. I don't see how that's a disrespectful thing, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what it is that when, members of the groups, in this case Native American, they feel like for all the shit and all the stuff they've gotten from the United States government, that to then have a Chief Wahoo caricature represent their culture. And I mean, there was a video on YouTube once again of, maybe 2014, 2015, of a white guy, bald white guy, at a Cleveland Indians baseball game in red body paint and red face paint. And the guy, I mean, he's wearing feathers, and he's wearing a really over the top, garish, tacky outfit of the most Caucasian dude you could ever meet. And I'm saying that in a humorous but also in an accurate way. Just this bald white dude with his shirt off, and he's got body paint, painting himself red, and he's painting himself his face red, and he's wearing feathers, and he's trying to be Chief Wahoo. And a legitimate Native American guy who's really Native American approaches him and is like, man, do you realize that you're totally disrespecting me right now? And the guy really didn't have much to say to that. The guy dressed up as his interpretation of Chief Wahoo, but he didn't have much to say to it. He defends himself. And to me, you can look back into the history of entertainment. Amos and Andy, 2 white guys dressed up as African Americans in blackface, and they were, at one time, Cole, they were the most popular act in the country. But as African Americans got more rights, Amos and Andy were kind of looked down upon as a character and an insult. So, as far as the Redskins name, look, I grew up there, man. I grew up in Fairfax, Virginia. I have a Redskins jersey of Joe Theismann. I've met Mark Mosley. I've met Joe Theismann. I've met a lot of these players. I think Gary Clark, who was a championship Super Bowl winning wide receiver. I went to a Super Bowl parade for the Redskins when I was a small infant.
I wonder
I've
if
been around the block with the Redskins team. But the reality is, it's a thing where the approach that Dan Snyder took to that debate, to me, seemed very insensitive and so forth. Let's talk about another thing about football there, Cole. We'll try to liven you up there, buddy. My feeling with the NFL is, as a fan of the NFL, just a regular guy fan, but not a guy who does fantasy leagues or anything like that, I find myself in the last 2 years especially less and less likely to watch an entire day of football or an entire game of football. I'll catch up on the scores. I'll check in and I'll see a couple of highlights, but I find myself less likely to stay home and watch a full day's worth of football on a Sunday. Where do you stand on that?
Oh, that's where we differ, bro. Sunday mornings, my wife and my kids know. God, dude, I don't understand why. It's like I'm nervous when I get on camera. I fucking yawn. I'm not even tired. I'm wide awake, and I just yawn when I'm on camera for some reason. It fucking pisses me off. I am not tired. It only happens when I get on this goddamn camera. I can sit over there on the couch all day and not yawn once. Jesus. But anyways, Sundays are my fucking day, man. Either I'm on my couch watching the Red Zone channel all day and then having a game on my phone and then having my other TV out there with the game on, or I'm at my buddy's house and watching 5 different screens. I flip-flop. So one Sunday I'll go to my buddies, one Sunday I'll stay home, one Sunday I'll go to my buddies, one Sunday I'll stay home. Football's my life, man. I was watching preseason football all day yesterday. Football's my passion. That's my love. It's my, another one of my passions. I could watch football nonstop all day. Like, I just watched this series on Netflix called Quarterback One, and it's about high school football kids and where they committed to go to college and shit in their senior high school year. So, like, anything football, I'm going to watch it. Like I said, I coach Little League football, a bunch of 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds. But you should see us on game day, man. We won a barn burner on Saturday, 13-12. Came down to the last play of the game, and we were fucking going nuts like we won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of 5-year-olds, so.
Now, can I put a bet on those games? Can I put money on the 5-year-olds?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure we'd take it, man. Fuck, me and the other coaches, there's 4 teams of us, right? And so we talk we practice the same days, and we go at it. We always give each other shit. Me and this one guy have a pretty good rivalry going right now. He beat last year was my first year coaching, and I played him the first week, and he beat my team's ass. And then we played the last game of the season, and he only beat me by 1. And so I can't wait to play him this year. God damn it!
You got a nervous tick, buddy.
Dude, I'm not even fucking tired. I don't understand. It drives me nuts. Our fans are gonna be like, God, this guy can't even fucking stay awake. No, I'm pumped up. I'm happy football's back. I'm not fucking tired. I don't know why I keep yawning. You should see Mike can see me off the screen. You guys can't see when he's talking. I'm fucking yawning the whole time there too. I don't understand it because it doesn't fucking happen. But go ahead.
I'll say this. I've been, a football fan most of my life, and there's something about when football season starts that you get a little butterfly in your stomach. You're looking forward to it. And what do you think about this Michelle Beadle, who's a ESPN, morning sports person, who I usually catch the last minute of their show because I tape Stephen A. Smith, the beautiful Molly, and Max, whatever his name is, on First Take. I tape that every morning and watch that. And I typically catch 1 minute of Michelle Beadle and her co-hosts at the end of their show. But apparently she said that she doesn't even watch the NFL or college football these days. And this is a host on ESPN on a sports talk show because she feels that as a woman, she's been marginalized by the NFL because they don't take, abuse to women stories from their players seriously, and they don't take African Americans' concerns with great respect. What did you think about that?
I feel like she should not be saying that while she's on TV on ESPN's networks, but she had to check with them before she did it, otherwise she would have got fired. But that goes back to the, God damn it! That goes back to the fucking sensitivity thing I was talking about, man. Like, so she better not watch movies. She better not listen to music. She better not watch TV shows. She better not watch baseball. She better not watch basketball. I'm sure it's happened in hockey. So if she wants to feel that way, then feel that way. But feel that way all the way around the board, not just towards the NFL.
Well, that's a good point. I can see that point. But, I mean, do you think that her opinion is valid? I mean, what did you think of this kneeling of the last couple of seasons? People have been going through this. What would you suggest? What do you think of the problem, and do you have any remedy of any, if any, Cole?
I just wish people would fight for our First Amendment like they do our Second Amendment. I mean, that's what it breaks down to. You got motherfuckers out here arguing, you know, talking about shooting people over gun rights, but these motherfuckers are kneeling to not, and they came out and said that it's not disrespectful to the flag. They're not doing it to disrespect the flag. They're doing it because for equality. Which, if you can look anywhere on the fucking internet, there's not equality in this world when it comes to police brutality and shit like that. I mean, stats just came out in New York that like 80% of arrests and pullovers in New York were black people. That don't fucking happen on accident. There's not that many, you know what I mean? Not way more black people than white people living in New York. It's probably pretty down the fucking middle. And so for it to be 80% compared to 20%, that's not fucking coincidental. That's purpose. And so that's what they're kneeling for, is police brutality, inequality, and shit like that, which makes sense. And they're doing a peaceful protest. When is peaceful protest became a problem in this fucking country? Then you get half the people want to say, oh, they're doing it to disrespect the flag. They're doing it to disrespect the flag. Blah, blah, blah. And then you got veterans coming out and saying, no, they've explained it. It's not disrespectful. They're not disrespecting the flag. Blah, blah, blah. Freedom of fucking speech is an amendment in America. Just like gun rights. Just like fucking all the other ones. Why isn't that one as important as fucking the gun rights to certain people? That's my problem with it. And then you got our president coming out saying, oh, the NFL is losing ratings and blah, blah, blah. Everybody wants to talk about the WWE's fucking TV deal. The NFL signed a fucking triple the size TV deal for 1/4 the content. Maybe like 1/6 the content. 12 games compared to 152 games.
Right.
And fucking last year was the biggest year in NFL history when it came to revenue. But their NFL's dying. No, that's just fucking fake. It's let them kneel. That's why I'm happy ESPN came out and said, you know what? Monday Night Football, we're not showing the national fucking anthem. We'll bring it to you when it's kickoff time. That's the best way to get rid of the fucking problem. Bam. The players can kneel on the fucking sidelines. The people in the stands will see it. It's not going to be on national TV. But then, now people are bitching about that. Here's the thing that drives me nuts. Nobody came out of the locker room until after 9/11. Nobody bitched before then. Nobody cared that they stayed in the locker room then. But then after 9/11, they started coming out and, you know, doing the national anthem. Okay, well, now these players want to fucking, they found a way to protest, and now we're bitching about it again, and now not even airing it's not a fucking option. It wasn't aired before 9/11. So what the fuck does it matter now for? Because we live in a sensitive-ass fucking world where people gotta bitch and complain about fucking everything. Just enjoy it. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch. It's that simple. Right?
Well, good points, Cole. Good points. I mean, I would actually say this, and I think this was an idea I had on an earlier episode of this show with you or some other forum. I said, is it possible for the NFL to just stop playing the national anthem altogether? And if people have an issue with that suggestion, might I say that once upon a time in the United States of America, the national anthem was played before movies and at the beginning of every school day. When I was a kid, for a couple of years, we would sing the national anthem, hands on the heart and everything, and then that faded out after a while. And at one point, people would go to the movie theater and go see a movie, and that was like a big deal. And people would sing the national anthem, or they would be played, and people would stand and salute the flag at that point, and that got faded out. A lot of the patriotism that the NFL extols is they're paid by the military to do these elaborate flag celebrations. Even in the post 9/11 world, when the Super Bowl that the Patriots won their first Super Bowl after 9/11, a lot of that patriotic show and circumstance, pomp and circumstance, was not from the good nature of the NFL or their patriotism. It was because the military used the NFL as an advertising source, and the NFL took advertising dollars. And so that's part of the reason why the NFL owners apparently would just love for every player to stand and salute, because they don't want to lose the advertising dollars that comes from the U.S. military, folks.
Well, here's the thing, and that's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. But like I said, the NFL was their biggest revenue year last year. So let the fucking owners can miss out on a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus, how much fucking money do you need? Let these fucking players. And here's another thing that pisses me off: that all these people bitching. Have you been to a sporting event? And most of the people out there have been to a live sporting event. When the national anthem's on, where the fuck does everybody go? To get a beer, to take a piss, to get a piece of fucking pizza. And then people sitting at home, do you get off your fucking ass when the national anthem's on TV, or are you sitting in your recliner eating your fucking chips? Because I don't stand up at home. I know you don't fucking stand up at home, and if you say you do, you're fucking lying. Nobody stands up at home. Everybody gets up, go get beer, fucking goes to the pisser, because everybody, you know what I mean? So why are we fucking making a big deal if these 7, 8 players fucking protest the goddamn national anthem on the sideline? What's it different than you sitting on your fucking ass at home? What is the difference? From you being there live, you have to do this, you have to do that, or you're sitting at home, you don't have to do it. Where are the rules and the regulations on how to act for the national anthem? That's what I want to know.
Well, I think it's a good point. There aren't rules and regulations. So that's why people get very heated and these conversations come up. I guess I'll say this, whether you agree or whether I agree with the protest or the form of the protest and Kaepernick or anything, you have to say that in some respect, these protests were successful if people are talking. Now, I think what happens is sometimes, and this point's been made by others more eloquently than I'm making it, but the nature of protesting or the nature of playing the national anthem, and is that disrespectful or not, that oversees the original topic, which was, are African Americans being treated unfairly by the police? And I'm on Twitter, and I have people sending tweets out of an African American guy with his hands handcuffed behind his back on the ground, and I don't even know where this happened, but I just saw this last night, and a police dog is biting the guy's arm and wrist.
Yep.
And the cop is trying to take this damn police dog off the poor guy, and 3 police are struggling with this highly trained police animal, and the guy's handcuffed and he's getting his hand bitten. And there was another video I think I saw on Saturday of an African American lady who looked like she was minding her own business, waiting for the bus. And there was a call to, apparently the story is this, and I don't want to misquote it, but someone had, not paid for their bus fare. A police officer, white guy, police officer, who's actually chewing tobacco the whole time. It's fucking ridiculous. He's got chewing dip in his mouth the whole time he's doing his job. And he is arresting this woman, and almost, it seems like he's painfully twisting her arm behind her back. And there's other people screaming at this police officer.
Oh yeah, she was
waiting for the bus.
She was at the bus stop. No, yeah, she was at the bus stop. Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Right, so she's at the bus stop, and she's just trying to get onto the damn bus and go to work, according to the content provider of this video, or whoever's taping it. And the cop seems very headstrong in arresting this woman, and of course she's very headstrong about not being arrested, but he's got the power of the handcuffs, the power of the bullet club, the gun, whatever equipment he has. And this woman looks just like a woman that would never harm anybody. I mean, she looks like a woman who is really not a fighter. You know what I mean? She's not someone who's a threat to anyone. She's a little overweight. She's probably 45 or 50 years old, minding her own business. And people are very outspoken. And I think what happens, Cole, is I think I retweeted that story because it seemed like there was some miles to it, that this cop, who ironically enough had been and he wasn't even a highway officer. He was like an officer for the bus stop or something,
Yeah.
And he had been awarded some award of Officer of the Year and so forth. And it does seem like, I think it's one thing to say like, oh, there's a new problem of police officers giving African Americans a hard time. I think that the argument to that is, it's actually been going on for a long, long time. It's just now with cell phones and smartphones and everyone's got a camera. Now these injustices are more likely to be shared. I mean, this goes back to Rodney King, if not before, definitely before. So it's a tough time for the United States because that's the real topic. That's the topic that Kaepernick was trying to raise attention to. The sidebar topic that kind of got maligned by Trump and others is this disrespecting the military?
And you know what you call that?
That's kind of how you spin things.
A distraction, bro. That's what you call a distraction. Because now we're not even talking about the real fucking issue. Now it's a battle about, oh, you're disrespecting the flag. No, it's racist. No, it's not. No, it's disrespectful. If you don't want to fucking stand for the national anthem, get the fuck out of here then. Blah, 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 blah. It's a joke, man. It's a fucking joke. Do I think Kaepernick should have done something different than protest the national anthem without any clarification? Yes. Do I think he should have been like, listen, I'm going to do this because of this, this, and this, and then do it? Yes, I think that would have went over a lot better. Do I think they're wrong for doing it? No. Because like I said, it's the first fucking amendment. That's an amendment just like the Second Amendment. Why is that not... why is it such a big fucking deal? I don't understand. Let him protest. Like I say, if you don't watch it, if you don't like it, don't watch it. The NFL's not going anywhere. The protests aren't going anywhere. As you saw, the NFL Players Association the NFL tried to cockblock that shit, and the NFL Players Association was like, no, that's not happening. We'll fucking sue you. We have these rights, and now it's back to square one. But I got to get off of this because I just keep getting mad and angry. There's one thing we got to talk about that we haven't brought up yet today. Do you have anything else to say about the anthem last minute?
Well, just real quick about this, just to wrap it up. One thing, just to be clear, because I know someone will want to bring this up, is that the question also is, does freedom of speech apply to the workplace? Can you and I go to our regular jobs and say, hey, we're going to protest our company's, fundraising efforts for this particular fundraiser because we don't believe in that company? You see what I'm saying?
But my rebuttal to that would be, is an NFL player a regular job?
Well, I guess some people would say that it is.
I don't look at being an NFL player as a regular job. I mean, yeah, it's a job. They get a paycheck. They play a fucking game. I paint for a living. No one looks up to me because I'm a fucking painter. No one asks for my opinion because I'm just a painter. But if I was in the NFL, my opinion would have a lot more say. So people would look up to me, look down on me, be mad at me, hate me. They're in the limelight. They're in a lot different job than anybody else in America besides sports athletes. You know what I mean? Like I said, I paint walls. No one's coming to me to talk to me about the protest. They're in the NFL. They're on national TV. They're doing what they do. It's no different than a guy at a concert protesting or saying his thing or wearing a shirt that says this or that. They get to do that because it's their fucking concert, but it's still their job.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what people say, that their right to protest does not apply.
But so
taking a paycheck from someone else.
But they're NFL players, so they're in a union, right? Unions protest all the time.
There is a union.
Yeah, unions protest all the time. Unions go on strike. A strike's a protest.
Well, the NFL Players Union has been losing a couple of rounds, it seems, the last couple of years.
Yeah, but the new collective bargaining agreement's coming out, I think, 2022, I believe they're going to renegotiate, and the NFL players are going to get a lot more power then, just like the NBA. The NBA Players Association did the NFL. Stop talking, please. The NBA Players Association did really well for the NBA players, and the NFL players, when they renegotiate, are going to get a lot more power with this next CBA agreement. For sure, guaranteed. Or there'll be a strike. I predict that when this new agreement comes out, they're trying to argue and figure it out. I bet you there will be a strike for a while, and we will miss out on some football.
Well, that will be interesting. That's happened a few times. I think there was even in the wonderful world of hockey, there was a season without a Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Okay, so I think you wanted to move on to another topic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That mass shooting yesterday in Jacksonville. Again, I don't want to get too much into it because it's so new. I just want to say, I play Madden a lot. I love Madden. I've been to Madden tournaments, nothing at that caliber. You know what I mean? I'm not going to win $175,000 for playing Madden. But just the fact that, it was a movie theater, then it was schools, now it's fucking video game conventions, next it's going to be a wrestling match, Then it's going to be, well, there's already been concerts. You know, it's just like, what is there left to do in this world where you don't have to worry about some crazy motherfucker coming in there and shooting up because he lost a video game? You know what I mean? The dude was a champion last year. He lost this year, and he came back and shot motherfucking people up, dude. I feel so bad for those families and, you know, those people. It's just like, thank God the death count wasn't as high as it could have been, because they were all in a small room, bro, and he just started fucking dumping. And I don't know if you got a chance to watch the video. You can't see anything, but you can hear it. And it's very graphic and very just mind-blowing to me. Like, how could someone go in there and just fucking, you know, shoot people up because they lost a video game? Just doesn't make sense to me, man. This world, sensitivity, bro. That's the theme of this show, is sensitivity. The sensitivity in this world.
What have they done to our sensitivity?
Yes, what have they done to our sensitivity? Exactly. It's just...
Well, I would say that the first thing that happened, I saw that on Facebook yesterday, and a friend of mine, a Facebook friend, a guy who's really supportive of everything I do, a guy named Roger Dale Snyder, checked in. He did one of those Facebook things where I'm okay, everybody. And so I actually sent the guy a text and said, hey, man, I'm glad you're okay. But that was the first I even heard that something happened. Then I got on the phone. I have another friend in Jacksonville. Funny thing is, Cole, I've actually thought of moving to Jacksonville.
Wow.
Literally to live there, because I've heard it's a great city. And whenever you hear about stuff like this, you know, you don't know what to think, because you're right. You know, can't people just go play a video game tournament and have a good time? And I will say this, statistically, of all the events that happened yesterday with video game tournaments in bars, or people playing video games, or people going to a bar to watch a baseball game, you know, the averages, the odds were definitely in the fact that most places yesterday did not have shootings, everybody. So don't feel as if we have to stay home and not go out into the world.
Yeah.
And I think what happens with the news a lot is that, you know, the news just basically reports the bad news, the negative news. Yesterday, some little girl got her first puppy for the first time in her life. Yesterday, some guy proposed to his girlfriend of 2 years, and they're off and going to get married. So a lot of good things happened yesterday throughout the country, throughout the world, but you don't see that on the news because that's not news. The one story of somebody shooting up a video game tournament, as horrendous of a story as it is, because we read that warps our perception of what's going out there. Like yesterday, I went to a Panera Bread and I had a nice meal, and I went to a coffee house and had a good time. But you don't see that on the front cover of the newspaper because it's not that interesting to anybody but me. So the fact is that the news is skewed in order to sell the papers, to get your attention. I'm not diminishing the deaths of these people. It's horrendous. It's horrible. But at the same time, just to give a little balance, I'd hate for people to watch stuff like... I had a friend, Cole, a couple of years ago who really became kind of a shut-in. He had a lot of problems, but one of his problems was he became afraid to go out in public. He would use the news and these type of shootings, these random incidents, as a validation to be a shut-in. And I'd hate for people watching our podcast now to even allow that to happen to them.
Oh, yeah, you can't. You can't.
You gotta go out and live life regardless of whatever risk it is, you know?
Yeah, you can't let it affect your life. I mean, obviously it affects you, but you can't let it change your life to the point where you're a fucking homebody after that. Sorry to end the podcast on a low note. I should have timed that better and brought it up before the kneeling debate, but conversation. But I just felt like something had to be said because it's just, the world's crazy, man. Like I've said 100 times, sensitivity is, so just don't be so sensitive, man. Just worry about yourself and what you can control. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We got all these people out here worried about everybody else and shit like that. Just put your energy and focus towards things that's gonna better your life and push you to make things happen and be positive and hold the door for the guy behind you. That's all you gotta do. It's simple. One little thing like that'll fucking make somebody... Jim Kelly just said it at the ESPYs. I can't remember his exact quote was, but he said, "Do something today to help someone smile tomorrow," I think is what the quote was. And that, to me, was just like, wow, you know what I mean? That dude's battled cancer 3 fucking times, and he's still got that mindset on life. So why can't we? You know what I mean? So that's why I'll leave it with that. Check out, you got anything else to say, Mikey, before I plug my shit?
Was that Jim Valvano that you just mentioned?
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, okay. Well, just saying that, once in a while, like, if you can see this thing, guys, that's what you call a gazelle. That's an exercise equipment that I actually got for free because the Knights of Columbus in my hometown put this nice exercise piece out. So by going out, experiencing life a couple of weeks ago, I got a free piece of exercise equipment. I'll just say that I had a great time at the Godsmack concert. Credit to my buddy Tommy DiNucci, Nick Principe. We worked with the singer of Godsmack in the film The Manor, so people can still see The Manor. Mike Messier, also, I took the reins from my buddy Brian Danovich, who passed away last month. If people look into the Action VR network, they can find The Foreign Object, the Pro Wrestling Experience with Mike Messier. I did a really nice show about the Baltimore Arena, my experience being a fan of the Baltimore Arena. Just wanted to say, we didn't really get into, we don't have time, but Senator McCain passed away, and we don't want to ignore that because, a guy who was a war hero, a guy who suffered incredible torture serving our country and was a fighter to the very end. And so just paying our respects. Politics aside, no matter where you stood, a lot of people respected, most definitely everybody respected McCain, even if politically they didn't agree with him all the time. So, but he seemed to have a very full life. But just talk about a badass, man. Senator McCain was a real badass by any indication.
Yep. Rest in peace and thoughts and prayers to...
Shaking the glasses out of respect. And just, we look forward to wrestling this week, folks. And maybe the WWE, if they have the balls, will let the Roman Reigns really be a heel. Be like a really, his version of the chicken shit heel, Roman Reigns, always having Seth, who's still got the Intercontinental title. And Ambrose is kind of the guy without a title belt. Maybe he doesn't need it. But we'll find out tonight for those that are watching, and there's always other wrestling to watch. So, what have they done to our sensitivity? I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah, and we'll be back. We'll be back with another episode probably Thursday morning. I'll have it out. We'll record it Wednesday night, so we'll go over Raw and SmackDown then a little bit, and then to see if anything else has happened. It might just be a quick episode. With NFL season coming up, me and JG from Generating Heat, I think, are going to do a fantasy thing. I'm waiting to hear back for sure on that, but I'm going to put the pressure on him by saying this on the air. And then me and my buddy Anthony, who co-hosts the Sports Corner with me, are going to do an NFL review show. Our first episode is going to be next week. Those will come at you every week. And me and Mikey will try and get out 2 episodes a week, but it's kind of hard when there's not much shit going on. So just pay attention. So subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Cole Sharfer. It's my time now 18. Follow me on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube at Cole Sports Corner Podcast on YouTube. Also available on Twitch at Jets Fan Cole. And everywhere podcasts are played, these episodes will be on Google Play, Podbean, fucking SoundCloud, Apple. Everywhere there's a podcast, just type in my name, Cole Sharf, or what have they done to our sport, or the Sports Corner. There's 3 ways to find it, so I don't want to hear any excuses. Tell someone about it. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some feedback, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. I really hope you enjoyed that last episode like I did. Always good content here at Jets Fan Cole Twitch page. Get the word out there. Tell people about it. Share, like. I'm going to have more platforms. I'll keep people updated on that. Look out for the next episode presented to you by Jets Fan Cole Twitch page. Thank you. Again, I hope you enjoyed.